start the meeting, and I'll get my binder and we'll do it properly.
You look fine. That's fine.
All right. Roll call, please. Denise.
Director Muller.
Hey, John,
Director Muller.
put
You're
on your
muted.
video and your voice, John. Audio.
Try that again. Present? No?
Director Coverdale.
Here.
Director Michelson.
Yes, here.
Vice President Feldman.
Here.
President Reynolds.
Yes, sir. Here. All right. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. I love that flag, Denise. All right.
I pledge
I pledge
allegiance
allegiance to the flag
Flag.
of the United
to the United
States
States of America and to the republic
for which it's
one nation, under God,
indivisible,
Visible.
for
with
liberty
liberty
and justice
Justice.
for all. All right. Thank you. Do we have any public comments? All right. Hearing no public comments, let's move on to the, we do open the community input for the district's water shortage contingency plan update and an update to our urban water management plan. So, Mary, are we ready to open the public hearing?
Yes, we are. And
All right.
Kathleen Brennan will be giving the presentations now to brief us on the urban water management plan. So I'm going to share my screen, and Kathleen, I'm going to hand this over to Kathleen.
Patrick's frozen. Not a good
Patrick?
night.
Patrick's just not moving.
Oh, you're okay. Oh,
We're just waiting for there we go. We got the slide show up.
Is that me in the lower left corner?
We see you.
We see you. Yeah, I guess you could put your name on you. So, okay, we're opening the public hearing is officially open. So next slide. There we go. Okay, so district staff worked directly with Elizabeth Dreyer of West Yost to prepare the 2020 Urban Water Management Plan. The modeling for the water demand projections was done by Madaus Water Management, and the district coordinated with the Bay Area Water Supply and Conservation Agency, known as BOSCA, and the San Francisco Public Utilities Commission, known as SFPUC. The Urban Water Management Plan is based on data from fiscal years and ended in fiscal year 2020. Next slide. There. Okay. So since the public review draft of the Urban Water Management Plan and the Water Shortage Contingency Plan was posted on our website in May, staff has been tracking corrections and additions to the plans. So this slide has the current list of changes to date. So let's see, let me go over them really quick. So the use of CCWD will be removed from the final draft. It was found to be confusing because it's also used for Contra Costa County Water District. So the district is referred to as the district in the plan, and then we'll spell out Contra Costa County Water District. The footer note in the appendices of the Water Shortage Contingency Plan was corrected. It just was like formatting error, so that was corrected. In Appendix D of the Urban Water Management Plan, we will insert a copy of the advertisement that was in the Half Moon Bay Review on March 31st. We forgot to include that. In Appendix I, we're going to be adding a comment letter that Coastside County Water District sent to SFPUC and BOSCA. We will also be adding to Appendix I a June 2nd memo from SFPUC on the regional supply reliability and the 2020 Urban Water Management Plan. We will also be adding to Appendix I the list of San Francisco Public Utility Commission workshops that they had on the Bay Delta. And that list also has links to the workshop information. Also will be adding a letter from Bosca to Coastside County Water District dated June 4th. And it was a response to the letter that Coastside originally sent to SFPUC in Bosca. So there will be some additions to the appendix. Okay, so slide 4. The purpose of this public hearing is to consider public comment and allow for discussion regarding the 2020 Urban Water Management Plan, including the Water Conservation Act of 2009 and the updated water shortage contingency plan. There are specific elements of both plans that we will cover in tonight's public hearing. And then after the public hearing, the board will consider adoption of both plans. Next slide. Okay. So the Urban Water Management Plan is required by California Water Code, and it must be updated every 5 years. Failure to submit an updated plan could make a water agency ineligible for state grants and loans. And the urban water suppliers that are subject to the Urban Water Management Planning Act, they have to have 3,000 customers or more, or deliver 3,000 acre feet or more. And the district has 7,600 connections. About 1,000 of those are fire services. And so that's the threshold that we meet for complying with the Urban Water Management Planning Act. Next slide. So the Urban Water Management Plans are planning documents to evaluate water supply out to 20 to 25 years. The water supply availability analysis is used to inform water supply assessments for proposed development projects within the district service area, which includes the County of San Mateo and the City of Half Moon Bay. And the plan is due to be submitted to the Department of Water Resources by July 1st. Okay, next slide. So slide 7 lists the required actions the district has to comply with and the date of compliance. So the first notice went out to stakeholders on December 23rd. It went out to stakeholders and interested parties, and that included the City of Half Moon Bay and the County of San Mateo. We did an advertisement. It wasn't required, but we to reach out to the community. We did an advertisement in the Half Moon Bay Review on March 31st. And we also sent out a constant contact email to customers who had subscribed to our electronic newsletter. May 18th, we sent a notice of public hearing to the city, the county, and other interested parties, and that was sent by email. And the public review draft of the Urban Water Management Plan and Water Shortage Contingency Plan was posted on May 17th. It is still on there on June 8th, today. The minimum requirement is 14 days. We had it up there for about 21 days. And during this time of COVID, it's just on our website because our offices aren't open. The library wasn't open, I believe, at the time we first posted it. So mainly it's been a PDF form on the website. We sent out 3 public hearing notices in the Half Moon Bay Review. Those were posted on, published, I should say, on May 19th, May 26th, and June 2nd. We're only required to do 2, but we did 3. And then today, of course, we're having the public hearing, and the board of directors will consider the plans for adoption. And then the next milestone will be July 1st when submittal to DWR is required. And within 30 days of adoption, we'll need to submit to the California State Library, the City of Half Moon Bay, San Mateo County, and we have to make it available for public review. So it will be posted on our website. So next slide. So the highlights of the Urban Water Management Plan include an executive summary. And the executive summary serves as a lay description to help the general public better understand what's included in the plan. We have compliance with the Water Conservation Act of 2009, which is described in Chapter 7. In Chapter 5. The water supply availability and reliability analysis is in Chapters 6 and 7. The supply and demand comparison is in Chapter 7. And the water shortage contingency plan is in Appendix J. And there's also information on the water shortage contingency planning in Chapter 8. Okay, next slide. So the Water District has complied with the Water Conservation Act of 2009 and met the final urban water use target in 2020. So the chart on this slide shows in the year 2020 that our urban water target was 124 gallons per capita per day, and we achieved a 97 gallons per capita per day. So under the threshold of what we were required to meet. So that was good news. Although 2020 was, we did have COVID in effect and restaurants closed and hotels not at full capacity. So that, so it's possible that we could creep up a little after COVID, but overall, I think we're in really good shape. So that's the end of the, that was the final compliance milestone for the Water Conservation Act of 2009. It was also known as 20 by 2020 because the state had the goal of a 20% reduction in urban water use by 2020. So, okay, next slide. So this chart, it illustrates the projected water demands compared with recent historical demands that have been documented in past urban water management plans. So we show 2010 water demand, 2015 and 2020. And then the line, oops, getting a little feedback. And then the lines of projected water demand. We start out in 2025, it's projected we'll use 704 million gallons, and then out to 2045, it's projected the water demand will be 664 million gallons. And it's pretty steady actually, but there's going to be new water conservation requirements that we need to meet in the future. So that's one of the big reasons of why our projection for future water use is remaining pretty flat. Okay. And just as a comparison, to give you more confidence in our demand modeling, in the 2015 plan, we projected that 2020 water demand would be 671 million gallons, and it turned out to be 667 million gallons. So that was pretty close. I was actually, that was an interesting fact, because usually there's a little bigger difference, but it seems our modeling is pretty spot on. Okay, so next slide. Okay, so this chart is actually in Chapter 7 and shows that during normal water supply years, the district has sufficient water supplies to meet projected water demand through the year 2045. So the orange bars represent the projected supply that we will have starting in 2025 and going through 2045. And then the black line is what the projected demand is going to be in a normal water year. So it shows that we have, at least in normal water years, plenty of water to meet demand. And just regarding our supplies, approximately, based on the past 26 years of data, about 73% of the district's water supplies comes from SFPUC, 2% from groundwater, about 19% from Denniston Creek, and 6% from Pillar-Cedos Creek. So it does show that we do rely heavily on the imported water from San Francisco. Okay, next slide. So the 2020 Urban Water Management Plan identifies a new constraint on the district's water supplies beginning in the year 2023. So a constraint can be a physical limitation like the size of your raw water infrastructure, or it could be an institutional constraint like your water rights limitations, or your license limitations on a water source. This new constraint is placed on the SFPUC through the Water Quality Control Plan for the San Francisco Bay, Sacramento, San Joaquin Delta Estuary. This is also referred to as the Bay Delta Plan Amendment or just the Bay Delta Plan. This new constraint is related to required flows on the Tuolumne River and may severely impact the availability of water supplies from SFPUC during dry or drought years. Okay, next slide. So the two charts on slide 13 illustrate the impacts of the Bay Delta Plan on the district supplies during dry years. Both of these charts are included in Chapter 7 of the Urban Water Management Plan. So due to the district's reliance on San Francisco water during dry years, the district could experience water shortages of up to 29% during a single dry year after 2023. This is shown in the chart on the upper right-hand corner. So this chart, the orange bars represent supply available. It starts in 2025 and goes to 2045. And the upper black line, again, shows our projected demand in those years. And during a single dry year in 2025, our estimated supply is 533 million gallons. And our normal demand is projected to be 704 million gallons. So that's a 24% shortfall. And then if you go out to 2045, our demand is expected to be 664 million gallons. And our supply during a single dry year is projected to be 471 million gallons. So that's a 29% shortfall. So that shortfall would have to be met through mandatory rationing on our customers. Then for multiple dry years, that's shown in the chart in the lower right-hand corner on the slide. Again, the black line is our projected demand. And then the bars, this is a designed 5-year drought, which is required by the Urban Water Management Planning Act. And then it shows the first year in orange of a dry year, the second year of a dry year is yellow, the third is blue, fourth is green, and fifth is blue, is the dark blue. And in 2025, it shows that in the 5th year of a 5-year drought, our supplies are estimated to be about 331 million gallons. And again, our demand is going to be up near 700 million gallons. So that's a 53% shortfall in that 5th year. And again, we would have to try to meet that by having our customers cut back drastically, over 53% of their normal use. And then if you go out to the year 2045 in a 5-year design drought scenario, in the 5th year, our estimated supplies are set 273 million gallons. Our demand, again, is estimated to be 664 million gallons. So that's a 59% shortfall that our customers would have to cut back. So, this is new to this urban water management plan, this new constraint with the Bay Delta, and also having to show a 5-year drought is also new to this urban water management plan. Previously, we only had to do a 3-year design drought scenario, and now we're having to do 5 years. So next slide. Okay. So there is uncertainty related to the Bay Delta plan due to pending lawsuits and an effort to have the State Water Resources Control Board consider alternative agreements with SFPUC and other water districts that rely on the Bay Delta and its tributaries. So the district will continue to monitor the status of the implementation of the Bay Delta plan and possibly these voluntary agreements. And we will also continue to invest in local water supplies and explore recycled water supply options. So the district will continue with our local alternative water supply research. And in the chapter 7, there's also discussion of what San Francisco is doing as far as their alternative water supplies that don't rely on the Tuolumne River. So there is a lot of work going on there. Okay, next slide. Okay, so on to the water shortage contingency plan. So again, this is required by California Water Code, and its intent is to assist the district in preparing to respond to water shortages. The water shortage contingency plan is a separate plan from the urban water management plan, but must be included in the urban water management plan. It can be found in Appendix J of the urban water management plan. And since it's a standalone plan, it will be considered and adopted by a separate resolution. The elements of the water shortage contingency plan can also be found in Chapter 8 of the urban water management plan. Next slide. Okay, so the district's approach to water demand reductions during water shortages must conserve supplies for the greatest public benefit, prioritize health and safety, minimize adverse effects on the local economy and environmental resources. So the district's approach includes a residential gallons per capita per day allocation, a commercial percentage reduction from a non-drought base year, a financial penalties or financial incentives, and specific use prohibitions. Okay, next slide. There are 6 stages or levels of shortage called out in the updated water shortage contingency plan. The previous plan had only 5. And now the state requires us to have 6. So the water shortage advisory is voluntary up to a 10% shortage. The water shortage emergency warning is mandatory up to a 20% shortage. The water shortage emergency is mandatory up to a 30% shortage. The water shortage severe emergency is mandatory up to a 40% shortage. And the water shortage extreme emergency is mandatory up to 50% shortage. And the water shortage catastrophic or extraordinary emergency is mandatory when it's greater than a 50% shortage. Okay, next slide. So this slide is a screenshot basically of an example of a spreadsheet exercise to set allocations among the different sales classes during a water shortage, while taking into consideration the total available water for production, the residential gallons per capita per day for health and safety, the economy and the environment, and then the demand needed for non-revenue water and emergency reserves. So you start out with your base year, which you consider normal, and then which would be the blue column, and then you would move to the whatever stage of shortage you're at, and you could adjust. You know, let's say we're in a 20. You've determined there's a 23% shortage. That would be, you know, maybe a stage 3, but you would just, you know, calculate your total available water supply and then allocate that among all of your different sales classes. And you could simplify this. You could combine like multiple dwelling residential with single family residential into one category. You could include, you know, restaurants in with commercial, you know, or beaches and parks in with commercial. So there's, you know, you can do it different ways, and this allows you the flexibility to see what works best. So again, this is just an example, but it's a way of comparing what the cutbacks would be by stage. And one of the ways that you kind of reduce the impacts on commercial, the economy, is in the beginning stages, you tend to cut back residential a little bit more than you do the commercial. But once you're into mandatory and you're into like stage 2 or 3, you're pretty much everybody's going to feel some sort of cutback. So again, this is just an example, but it kind of gives you an idea of how staff would go about trying to figure out how we would allocate the available water by sales class. Okay, so next slide. So we did not receive any written public comments at the time of this public hearing. So they could email me directly or with their public comment, or they could mail in their comments. And we were checking the mail, and I was definitely checking my inbox and even my junk mailbox, and we did not receive any written comments on either plan. So we might receive comments tonight, verbal comments tonight during the public comment period, but we received no written comments. And so next slide. Okay, so now if the board is ready, we could see if there's anybody attending that would like to provide comments on either the urban water management plan, our final urban water use targets, or updated water shortage contingency plan.
Thank you, Kathleen. We have one hand raised on the participant list. Mary or Denise, I'd leave it to you. Do you want to bring that in?
Yep.
We could ask that.
Unmuted.
Yeah, Mazur Bozargarna, if you would like to speak, this is the time. But you got to unmute yourself. There you go. Thank you.
Thank you.
You could introduce yourself and tell us where you're from. Charge ahead.
Will do. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I am Mazur Bozargarna. I'm an El Granada resident and the Half Moon Bay City engineer. I'd like to share some brief comments about the 2020 Urban Water Management Plan in context with our city's planning efforts. Jill Ekis, our Half Moon Bay Community Development Director, wishes she could be here tonight, but unfortunately had a conflict with the Planning Commission meeting scheduled at the same time for this meeting. So I'll do my best to be able to support both her comments as well as mine. The Half Moon Bay Local Coastal Land Use Plan comprehensive update was certified by the California Coastal Commission on April 15th of this year after a long multi-year effort to get that through. City staff appreciated the collaboration with the CCWD staff in assessing those impacts of the land use build out on infrastructure, including water supply, and CCWD input was fully incorporated into that land use plan update. Some of the land use plan policies include annual monitoring of growth and its impacts, and the city would like to work with the district staff on these ongoing studies, especially when considering multi-year drought conditions. Of particular note, city staff recognizes that the growth projections for the city of Half Moon Bay used in the urban water management plan came from ABAG and not the city. The urban water management plan presents a lower build out for the 2045 condition that the city's land use plan has for the 2040 planning horizon. The urban water management plan also uses a lower per capita daily water demand than the city's land use plan's estimation for future water demand. The land use plan clearly presents these projections and estimations as conservative, so it is definitely possible that the lower level of growth anticipated in the urban water management plan may be closer to the future reality. That said, it is very important to recognize that water supply and demand appear to be acutely sensitive for any build-out scenario, especially so for multi-year drought scenarios. As such, ongoing collaboration and monitoring is going to be critical. So there's two things that the city's requesting. First, while the urban water management plan was drafted before the city's land use plan was certified, we suggest that references be brought up to date in the final draft urban water management plan. And secondly, we further hope that in the future we can continue to collaborate with the district on these matters to better inform the board, city council, and the community as a whole. That's it for me.
Thank you for those comments. We appreciate it. Do we have any other public? Oh, let me open the participants again, see if we have any other hands raised from the public. Okay, and I'll just put a shout out. Is there any members of the public that would like to comment at this time? All right, so that would conclude our public comments. Staff, board, staff, anybody who wants to take the first crack at it? John, you want to make a comment?
Yeah, there's a couple things. I think first, we just continue to have to thank our staff for the great work they've done on this very complicated situation here. And we understand the city of Half Moon Bay's concern. I do personally, and I think the board does. And staff, I think you will respond to the city engineer's comments there. You've done a lot of work on this project here. And just a couple more things on there. Believe it or not, I did try to go through the binder, and on chapter 6, on the fourth thought, climate change and impacts to the supply, it's been my experience as a lifelong person that lived off of wells. The number 4 dot there says sea level rise and increased saltwater intrusion. I don't believe we are in the same category as the Santa Cruz and Monterey County with our soil conditions. We're not sandy ground. And the wells that I've experienced over the last 50 years, about 85, 90 feet, you hit blue clay, and there's no water, no saltwater intrusion coming in there. And I just wanted that to be on the record there. And then one last thing with our planning here, with the city acquiring and the county acquiring the hotel facility on Highway 1 there, it looked like the fixture count's going to be a large increase there. So there could be possibly, could be possibly more volume of water going through the fixture count there. And I just want that to be noticed on the record for staff, please. So, and I'll have another comment when we're ready to wrap up, but I appreciate the opportunity to speak to those 2 items right now.
Thanks, John. Chris? You're
Yeah,
muted. Oh, there you go.
Thank you, John, for mentioning the clay barrier. Yes, there is a clay barrier here. Saltwater intrusion is not a threat to coastal sources. That's absolutely correct. In the 20 years that I've been on this board, that's been confirmed many times. So thank you for pointing that out. Yeah, and thank you, Kathleen. Thank you, Elizabeth, for your contributions to putting together this this report. You know, especially in light of the unknown, certainly future weather being the unknown. Will the voluntary agreement come to fruition? This is, and Kathleen, thank you. Good job. 5 years ago, you got your numbers pretty close. So I think we can, you know, really rest assured that staff has really done the best possible job given the amount of unknowns out there. And this is a document that I think we can be proud of. And, you know, and things may change over the course of the next 5 years. However, given what we know at this very moment, this is the best, seems to me to be the best possible document that we could have produced. So thanks again.
Thank you, Chris. Bob, do you have any comments?
No, support both John and Chris's comments regarding staff efforts on the site. I think this is really a super product done by Kathleen and Elizabeth and the gang there. And I have to commend them on, I think, putting together something that's practicable and also the best can be done with the information we have. And I just don't know how you could do better than they've done, given the uncertainties that we see going forward. So I'm good with this, and I'm sure staff will take into account moving forward the city's concerns and the other things that have been discussed. But I'm good to go, as they say.
All right, thank you, Bob.
Mr. Chair,
Hang on, John. Let's give Ken a chance to talk, and then we can follow up. Go ahead,
Great.
Ken.
Yeah, did I unmute?
Yes, sir.
Hear me?
We can hear you.
Great. Could we go back to page 5 of the document? Is that possible?
The slide or the,
Yeah, the slide, because if we each go to page 5, it won't be very useful. Could be, but
okay, the urban water management plan requirement? Slide
yes.
5?
Yeah, I thought there was something I thought was pretty interesting there. It could be just, my crazy way of reading.
Mm-hmm.
Mary, can you bring that up?
She's working on it.
Yeah, what was interesting to me was there were 2 different requirements. It said that either we had to serve 3,000 or more customers, had to deliver 3,000 acre feet per year of water. But I thought it was interesting that we don't deliver 3,000 acre feet. We only deliver 2,047. So even though we meet the requirement of the number of customers, since we're so far below the acre feet, could we just be absolved of this whole process?
No, the or is a key thing in there, and then really what they're trying to do is include wholesalers. So you could have a wholesaler who said they only have a few customers and therefore didn't have to do this. So that's why they catch the wholesalers with the volume of acre feet.
Well, I think it's worth at least writing a note and saying, yeah, we got a lot of customers, but we're not delivering much water. We're doing a great job of conservation already. And
That's all the more reason that we should do this, because we have so many customers. And we have to ensure we're able-
I mean, we got a lot of customers and we're not delivering much water. We're like good guys.
Well, yeah.
I'm just reading the numbers.
We gotta keep it working.
So anyway, I'm not trying to be crazy, but just, I'm a numbers kind of guy, and those look like great numbers. And then look, could we also look at page 14 for a minute?
Yeah.
Please, thank you for being so adept at all this. So I thought it was kind of interesting because we have 4 things that we're doing in response to the Bay Delta plan. And I think the 4th one is the one that I think we ought to do in really bright letters and bright highlights and bright everything. I don't think we're continuing to explore recycled water options. I think we need to get on it. And I've talked about it for 3 or 4 years. And here it is as one of our deals that we're involved in. And I don't think we're actively involved in that at all. So I think that's not really true. And if it's going to be true, I think we better get a committee, we better get a budget, and we better get on it. Because if you read the water supply option plan that came through today from Mary, from SFPUC, it's a really big line on their future, their 15 projected projects. And I think recycled water, even though it may not be our favorite option and difficult, whatever, really is an option for this district. And I think if we're going to put it in our list here, then we should really pursue that. And I'm not trying to be argumentative or anything like that, but that seems like if we're going to say it, let's do it. Other than that, I think the report's great. It's disappointing. It's frustrating. It's a little bit frightening. but it's the truth. And I think the sooner that we let our customers know that that's the truth, the sooner that they'll respond like in the past. We've done a great job of water conservation in this district. I'm very proud of that. I think the district's done a great job of managing the district. But I think that the more we tell our customers, the more they can help us. So that's really what I have to say as a startup comment.
Ken, thank you. I actually asked Mary to put the recycled water on there because I think we have to start working on that with enthusiasm. And I think that it really required us to put it on paper and say we're going to do it. And so that's why I was really keen that we do put that in as one of the foundations of where we're going to have to go forward. And I think that our efforts and exposure and our prior education have been really valuable in educating the staff and the board about what some of the hurdles and challenges are. And they've been financial, they've been community, they've been regulatory. And so as we look at this urban water management plan, it's a really sobering or fundamental shift in how Coastside Water District has served its community. And I think I felt really strongly that we did not want to put this plan out. It's a great plan because we are dealt these cards. We buy our water, 70% of our water comes from San Francisco water. And so these aren't choices that we've made. These are how we manage the resources that we are made available to us. And so it was really important to me that our urban water management plan included the board being proactive about moving, resolving and learning more about this. And I think that you are correct. The time is here and now to do something. And it's a separate discussion, but we have been talking about how we'll formally start studying this with a board with action. And so I want you to know that is in play. So thank you. Any other thoughts, comments from the team? All right. With that, let's go forward to the next item, which is the adoption of the 2020 Urban Water Management Plan and the updated water shortage contingency plan. And we have two resolutions. So Kathleen, it's back to you.
Back to me. Okay. Well, we don't need a slide for this, but there's two resolutions. So because the water shortage contingency plan is its separate standalone plan, it's uncovered under resolution 3, 2021-03. And the resolution for adopting the 2020 urban water management plan is resolution 2021-04. So Patrick can correct me if I'm wrong, but the board can either adopt these resolutions without any changes, or they can adopt a resolution and make amendments to the plans, and then staff will incorporate them. So hopefully I explained that clearly.
Thank you. Well, let's start at the top. My screen is reorganized, so Ken, it puts you first this time. You're still muted, Ken.
Yes. I would recommend that we approve both resolutions. I don't really see any modifications that need to be made to the plan or to the contingency plan. And so I, for one, would recommend approval of both resolutions. I'm sorry, my phone just blinked out, so I don't have the numbers. I'm happy to quote the numbers if that would be useful. 2103 and 2104. So I'd like to recommend that we approve resolution 2021-03 and resolution 2021-04. And I would be fine with them being accepted together. But if it would be better, according to our attorney, to do them separately, I'd be happy to recommend that we, or make a motion that we support them one at a time.
I think you have
Trying
to.
to adopt them concurrently, and I think that that was a motion.
Okay, so we need a second, folks. Does anybody else have a comment, or would anybody else like to second? Bob, I see a hand raised. Go for it.
I'll second.
Thank you, Bob. All right, that Chris or John, do either of you have a comment? Would you like to vote, Jim? Is that a hand?
Yeah, I think, thank you, Mr. Chair. I agree with the resolutions for sure. And this great summary was put together with this evening. I'm just wondering if it's possible we have a copy of that to kind of straighten us up on the big binder here. It would be, I think, benefit for me to have that for the records, if we could, please. It's a little simpler to understand.
Yeah, that's no problem. I'll ask Denise to send that out.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. So Denise, we have a motion and we have a second. Could you do a roll call, please?
Director Muller,
Yes.
Director Coverdale,
Yes.
Director Michelson,
Yes.
Vice President Feldman,
Yes.
President Reynolds.
Yes. All right. So at this point, let's move on to the consent calendar, please. Are there any directors who'd like to remove anything from the consent calendar? And I did review the claims and found everything to be in order for the claims. Any directors want anything removed or held back from the consent calendar? All right, hearing no, let's go ahead and have a vote for Denise, a roll call on the consent calendar, please.
Director Muller,
Yes, if there was a motion and a second, I would move to approve the consent calendar.
So moved, John.
Director Coverdale,
Aye.
Director Michelson,
Yes.
Vice President Feldman,
Yes.
President Reynolds.
Yes. All right, thank you. Do we have any directors who attended meetings or directors' comments?
No.
I do have a comment, Mr. Chair.
Sure, go ahead, John.
If I may, through the chair. I think I would like to ask staff, do we have a written policy on our temporary meters that have been lent out to construction companies, written policy about wheeling water out of the district? And I'm just wondering if there comes a time where maybe we should recall some of the meters during these serious drought conditions. It's just a suggestion to the staff and board.
James, is that a question for you? I thought our construction meters had requirements that went with them.
There are requirements that go with them. I don't have them before me, but we always make sure that the water is not going to leave the service area. And I'm sure we have the ability to pull those for a variety of reasons: lack of use, lack of reporting in the read, or other things. But in terms of drought, I actually asked Kathleen if I would think that would be a possibility.
So thank you, James. It's in the water shortage contingency plan that we can either reduce or pull back on the portable meters during a drought, depending on the severity of the drought. And actually Mary or Nancy could probably give you more detail, but every portable meter is given an account number and is billed monthly. So it's, so we do track them.
Thank you.
I'll notice that we have about 20 of them, but in terms of being active, we don't have, less than half of them are really active. So,
Yeah.
Our volumes aren't huge on them.
Thank you.
Mr.
right.
President?
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Ken.
Yeah. Just as an aside, I was out getting my mail in my mailbox. We have rural mail delivery where I live. And my neighbor told me that at the end of Purisima Way, he had been noticing a leak and made it aware, or he thinks he made it aware to the district. I don't know anything about that. And but I just wanted to let you guys know that you might take a run down to the end of Purisima Way and look. But he claims that there's a leak down there. And so anyway, just, you know, they're all watching. It's great. You know, because water, the soils, I've never seen the soils drier. I mean, I've only been here 42 years, I guess. John, my elder statesperson, has been here much longer than me.
75.
Yeah.
Well done, John.
But I'm telling you, it's the driest that I've seen. Our well is still producing strong, but it's pretty amazing out there in the soil. So anyway, he just wanted to let us know. I know it's an old galvanized line. I'm fine with it being an old galvanized line. He's not, but apparently it's leaking. So just to let you know.
Thank you. Any other director comments or meetings? Go ahead, Bob.
It's quick. I won't spend a lot of time on this. About 2 weeks ago, there was an aqua spring conference virtually again, which I participated in for a few days. It actually went a day longer than planned because they had a real set of technical difficulties the first day. However, it all got done. It just sort of overlapped another day. And again, I don't have to go into great detail. I can just say that the general discussions all focused around underserved communities in California, how they were trying to find ways to serve them better, to find funding to help them pay bills, how everybody was still having the same kinds of difficulties they've had during the COVID year, and the difficulties continue, and also the discussions of the state of the water situation, the state of the rain, the drought, and all the associated problems that are certainly before us and will be here going forward. Nemeth, who's the Director of Water Resources, Carla Nemeth and Wade Crowfoot gave their overviews and simply amplified the difficulties and the things that everybody's trying to do to get ready for this, which we know everybody is doing. And also there was one interesting issue on cybersecurity, which talked about how to protect yourself and how to keep yourself safe in terms of your data, your valuables. And that brought to mind the fact that we had just done our audit and a good review of that. And I thought we were right on top of the things that needed to be done to make sure we were staying on top of that issue. So that was generally the drift. And there's not any reason to go into it in more detail because it's actually what's been going on for the last year, just re-emphasized and restated. So I thought it was worthwhile. It's a lot easier to go this way, I'll tell you that. And I thought it was a worthwhile effort. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Bob. Chris, anything?
No. We did have a BOSCA meeting. Most of it was relative to the ongoing lawsuits. Nothing new to report there. Our assessments will be going up 5%. It's looking like, and that was in everything else. Today we were forwarded. It was already talked about the document from SFPUC, their alternative source options. So I think everyone is kind of up to speed with what's been going on at BOSCA and SFPUC.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I attended the Water Education Foundation Colorado River seminar, and it was pretty sobering. I attended because the Colorado River is in extreme distress, and there's more people using the water than there is water. And since California gets a significant portion of its state's use from the Colorado, it could impact us quite heavily as part of the state through the water that's used and available to the greater state. And it was very sobering. I don't have anything good to report except that a lot of people are talking about it and the numbers are pretty sobering. So I'll leave it at that. It's that seminar is available online. Some of the nice parts, because it was an online virtual one, you get to sort of fly using Google Earth through the watershed. Saves you hundreds of hours of sitting in a bus driving along it. So that was good. But the parties that are involved are numerous across state lines, and it will definitely be a problem that will be impacting us in the future. I know that Patrick's going to solve the problem for the state, and he's hard at work on it, but wow.
Mr. Chair?
Let's move. Yeah, go ahead, John.
I think we need to, I would like to move to approve reimbursement for Chair Reynolds' virtual attendance of the Water Education Foundation for $179.
Okay.
Consent calendar.
Second.
All right.
I thought it was in the
I believe
consent
that was
calendar.
done as part of the approval of the consent calendar. So I think
Done
that's
as part of the
we've already done
consent
that.
calendar.
Yeah, it was.
I
It
just
was,
wanted
but
to make sure.
thank you for the vote of confidence. I thought carefully about it, and I got to tell you, looking at how much water we are going to be short, if it goes the way some parties want, the impact on the entire state of California will be really sobering. So that's why I was there, because it really will impact all of the state, us included. But we're a long ways out from seeing what's going to happen, but thank you. I would like at this time to turn over to James and talk about the award of contract for construction management services for the Nunes Water Treatment Plant Improvement Project. James, you're on.
Thank you, Director Reynolds. We've talked about this a lot, but for the sake of the public who might be watching, the Nunes Water Treatment Plant was constructed in 1981 as a 2.5 MGD direct filtration surface water treatment plant. In 1992, in conjunction with the Crystal Springs pump station project, the district converted this facility and expanded it to a 4.5 MGD conventional treatment plant. In 2010, the district invested about $2 million to upgrade the chemical storage and delivery and plant controls. Recently, or in the last few years, we've determined that the plant still needs some work. In January of 2021, HDR Engineering completed a detailed design for the filter improvements, addition of a new plate settling sedimentation basin, chemical system improvements, concrete repairs and coating repairs to the filters and existing clear well, and other process improvements. This comprehensive project will provide extensive rehabilitation and upgrades to over 25% of the Nunes facility. At the May board meeting, we awarded to the low bidder on this project, Ranger Pipeline, in the amount of $8.34 million. Staff has solicited proposals from both Friar and Loretta and HDR for construction management services for this project. Jeff Tarantino and Josh for EKA, and they have worked closely with the district on three sizable projects: the Water Treatment Plant Improvement Project in 2011, the Nunes Short-Term Improvement Projects in 2010, and the El Granada Emergency Generators Project in 2016. Staff has really appreciated their support in construction management and found them very detailed and on task. And for this reason, we would like to hire Friar and Loretta, where Josh and Jeff Tarantino are currently working to manage this project. It's a 24-month project, and it's a significant impact on the district. Their proposal for construction management services is $566,600. That's a not to exceed amount. And we find this percentage of the construction to be in line, roughly 7%. and they are going to be there for 24 months for 3 half schedule. And if you want to look at their proposal, it's in attachment A. And I believe Jeff might be listening if there's some questions. I think he's traveling right now. But most importantly, these guys are very, very skilled, and staff really has good experience with them in construction management. If you have any questions, Mary and I are here to answer your questions.
Thank you very much, James. Yeah, I'm really excited about this. We've always been very proud that our water quality coming out of the treatment plant is as good as it's really good, and it always is significantly better than what the state and federal government require. And some of the things that I see about these improvements will be that our water treatment plant will have greater redundancy and greater reliability and be upgraded to be an even better and more reliable plant. And I think it's important that the community knows that we it's not broken, but we are being proactive to make sure it stays operational and has better redundancy. So those are great movements and the community should be very proud. So James, thank you. Do we have any other directors who'd like to make a comment about this proposal? And we'll need a resolution. I mean, a motion, sorry. Go ahead, Bob.
I don't know if Jeff Tarantino's on or not. His name's here, but nobody's there.
Yes, Director Jeff Tarantino here. Apologize for the noise in the car, just driving.
Oh, you're in the car, okay.
Yeah.
I have one technical question on the proposal estimated budget. I'm sure I should know this, but it didn't strike me right away. Under task 1, the last line item is allowance for specialty inspection and testing, which shows no hours or anything. It's just a lump sum of $50K plus a $5,000 markup. What exactly is that meant to imply or be? Is that something that could not happen sometime, or you might not do, or you always do? I'm
Yes.
just not sure what it is.
Yeah, no, thank you, Director. No, so what that lump sum budget is for concrete testing and other specialty inspection services that are required by the contract documents, and there are specialty firms with specialty certifications that do that work. So, like for example, when we pour the concrete.
Oops.
For the sedimentation basin, we'll collect concrete samples. Those will be lab. And so, are you?
Whoops.
So, yeah, Bob, I'm afraid Jeff cut out. But did that make sense to you? He's allocated.
Like for specialty items which can't be more clearly defined, is that the point, Jamie?
What it is it's specialty testing.
It seems like a big number with no underpinnings, and so I was just wondering, is that okay with you, James, that it's shown in that form? I mean, I don't know how you manage that.
Yeah, Director Feldman, that's just kind of a budget for us to manage. It doesn't mean we're going to spend 50, but that's the account that'll kind of be drawn from, and Fire and Loretta will do the hiring of the specialty inspectors.
Yeah, it was almost 10% of the total, so that was why I was asking.
Yeah, those things aren't going to happen without the district's approval.
That's fine. I do think this is an important thing to do. I think this program management is probably as important as anything else we're going to be doing on this job. 8.5 million, 8.340 million needs to be carefully attended to. And the way that it's spent and how it's spent and what gets done and what's delivered is very important to know and to be monitored. I'd ask Mary to be sure that the program manager was prepared to give us regular updates and status reports on the progress of this really important and very expensive project on a regular basis. And if that means monthly, I would have no problem understanding how we were doing once this thing is getting going, with some progress against plan, cost against budget. So that would be great, because then I would feel a lot better month to month knowing that we had this thing in hand and under control and carefully monitored. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. All right, and any other directors have a comment?
Yeah,
Yes, Ken.
Mr. Chair.
Please.
When Springs pipeline project got built, there were bolts that were installed in the 160-foot long pipes that went down into the bottom of the tunnel so the pumps could pump water out. And actually, the metal that was used in those bolts didn't meet spec. And that might be another example of a special testing service. You know, bolts would be delivered, someone might look, they might say, question those bolts, and they might be checked. And in that case, it was fairly expensive. So it's, I think that having an adequate budget and not feeling constrained to make sure that the materials that are being placed in the project are meeting the spec or exceeding the spec really makes a difference, because you think, oh, they're just bolts. But then it's like the Bay Bridge and the bolts start popping, and what do, right? Going back to replace them, even though they might give you better bolts, it's the labor and the time and the potential danger. So I think it's good to have an adequate budget. I don't know how you select that budget. So I think Bob's question is a good one, but I think James really watches this stuff. I think he's very careful, and so I think we have kind of double project management. I appreciate that.
Thanks, Ken. Chris or John?
Sorry to interrupt you, gentlemen. This is Jeff Chantino. I'm back on, so happy to answer any other questions. Apologies for. So.
All right, good.
I could just say, from the subcommittee level, in working with staff, they were real excited to have the team and Loretta on board. So I just, and that counts too, because we meet once a month. Our staff will have to work with them on a daily basis. So having buy-in from staff means a lot to me. So I just wanted to let everyone know that staff is really excited to work with the team. Thank you, Jeffrey.
Yep. Thank you very much. Yep. Okay. And Jeff, the last thing is on YouTube, there's a lot of car karaoke. So did you want to turn on your video camera and sing us a song now?
I could do that, and we can get my kids to participate. They're enthralled by the discussion ongoing right now.
Very good. Thank you, Jeff. John, did you have any comments?
No, I think their presentation, their recommendations are well, and on their construction management, their responsibility is to, as we've all commented on, enforce contract documents through critical review of communication. So I think we're all on top of that, and the deliverables look very positive with this type of project.
Excellent, thank you. Board, I need a motion, please. All right, I'll make a motion that we award a contract for construction management services to Fryer and Laureate, Inc. for the Nunes Water Treatment Plant Improvement Project. Do we have any seconds?
I'll second that.
All right,
Or
Chris,
an amount
we have
not to exceed 500.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Sorry, I read the subject, not the recommendation. My apologies. It's shorter, though.
An open checkbook there, Mr.
Yeah, it's a shorter summary. It gets me done quicker. All right, so not to exceed $566,600. All right, we got a first, we got a second. Denise, if you could give us a roll call, please.
Director Muller,
Yes on the motion.
Director Carbondale,
Aye.
Director Michelson,
Yes.
Vice President Feldman,
Yes.
President Reynolds.
Yes. All right, thank you. Let's move on to, well, James again, and then we're going to talk about the award of contract for engineering services during construction to HDR Engineering, Inc. for the Nunes Water Treatment Plant Improvement Project. Go ahead, James.
Thank you, President Reynolds. This is the other portion of setting us up for a successful project. HDR, as you know, did the design on these improvements, and the engineering service during construction really, let me just summarize them, pre-construction meaning contract clarifications, requests for information, submittal review, making sure we get the right components that are compliant with and contract change order and potential change order review, and some site visits, helping us with startup of the various components and providing as-builts and an updated operations plan for our regulator DDW to allow the permit amendment to take place. HDR is perfect for the job. They know the design in and out just as well, if not better than staff. So this is roughly 3% of the construction budget or cost, and it is $241,906. And we highly recommend that we use HDR for this technical aspect of the work. If you have any questions, I'm here.
And it makes a lot of sense. And everything we've heard about the design that HDR has done is that it's excellent. So I look forward to them assisting us putting this to bed and getting it done in an efficient manner. Do we have any other director comments on this, or should we get a nomination, or both? All right, let's go for a motion. Look at those hands fly up. John?
I so move the recommendation to authorize the general manager to enter into professional service agreement with HDR Engineering, Inc. to provide engineering services during construction of Nunes Treatment Plant Improvement Project for a not to exceed amount of $241,906.
Excellent. Thank you for that. I'll go ahead and second that motion. And Denise, can we have a roll call, please?
Director Coverdale,
Yes.
Director Michelson,
Hey, Chris?
Chris, you got
it took me a second to find the button. Yes.
Vice President Feldman,
Yes.
Director Muller,
Yes.
President Reynolds.
Yes. All right. And now Mary's gonna, wait, Mary drives an electric car, but she's gonna talk about fuel tanks. It just doesn't.
I'm going to turn this over to James in just a second, but I just in the fall we put in for a grant, and our staff identified the need for additional fuel storage for emergencies and PSPS events. We currently have 1,000-gallon diesel tank, and so we applied for a grant to increase the storage to 5,000 gallons, and then also add 1,000 of unleaded fuel. And this additional fuel will allow us to run our generators and other equipment, for 15 to 20 plus days, which in an emergency we could be isolated here on the coast side. So it's really an important addition. So our grant was approved in March for 200,000, and so then I put James and Darren went to work for finding the best pricing on the tank. So I'll turn it over to James to tell you about what he found.
Thank you for the intro, Mary. Yeah, we're excited about this because, as you know, when the power is off, a lot of gas stations, you can't even get fuel for your vehicles. So we're really happy about the unleaded portion that's being added to this project. The original 202,431 was a price that was kind of a loose bid, so to speak, from a contractor that did the diesel tank over at the Princeton County Courtyard. And we also followed up with another one, but they're slightly non-responsive because they did not want to take away the old diesel tank. And I was pretty adamant that if we're going to have someone come in here, they're going to put down a new tank and they're going to take the old one and get rid of it. So the pricing is Sourcewell. This is a Sourcewell contractor, so it's a JPA pricing that's already been pre-competitively bid. And with everything and some other things that they added in terms of the fuel management system, they came in at $159,867. And I just was really happy to see that because it really speaks volumes about the Sourcewell contracts and the joint powers government contracting avenue of procurement. So for 2 bids, we're going to retain this bid. They were very responsive and into things like replacing portions of the piping to the generator, including a temporary tank for while the tank is pulled, so that we'll have a 500-gallon diesel temporary tank there in case there's a power outage during the time that we're transitioning from the old to the new tank. And the remainder of the funds between the 160 and the 202 can still be used for emergency planning or emergency preparedness. And Mary and I have still yet to determine how to pay for provision of the ERP and some emergency supplies. So we would like to have your support in awarding to Blue One Energy Equipment for $159,867 to replace the diesel tank at Nunes. And if you have any questions.
Well, thank you. Ken, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Ken.
James, the only question I had is, does the old 1,000-gallon tank have a value to us somewhere else? Or would it have a value even there as another 1,000 gallons of diesel? I mean, I know it's really convenient to get all brand new and get rid of the old, but does that thing have any value at all? That was my question for you.
That's an excellent question. And staff, we debated this quite a bit in one direction or the other. Unless we have a place to put it immediately, I'm not a big fan of collecting old equipment, and it does need an exterior recoat. It's blistered and rusted. And I just don't think that, like if we were going to put diesel storage down at Denniston, I don't know if I'd want to use an old tank in that location. It's probably fine, but we've talked about this internally quite a bit, and we came to the conclusion that if we are going to put diesel somewhere else, that it should be a new tank. That's how we came to the decision.
Okay, thanks. John, go ahead, John.
Yeah, the county, as someone that has a diesel double wall tank, the county is all over these tanks. So it sounds like a good suggestion, board member, but I think we have to remove it and get rid of it personally. And my other comment quickly here with while we have the James there, who do we buy our fuel from? May I ask that question to the staff?
I believe it's Valley Oil.
Okay, good company. I'm
very good. They take very good care of us.
They take very good care of all the local small operators too. Thank you.
Great. Thanks for asking.
Yeah.
All right. Very good. Do we have any further questions? Or okay, we'll go to a motion. Who would like to make a motion on this one? It's me again. All right. I'd like to make a motion that we authorize the general manager to enter into a contractual agreement with Blue One Energy Equipment to replace the existing 1,000-gallon diesel above ground storage tank, AST, located at the Nunes Water Treatment Plant with a split tank that holds 5,000 gallons of diesel and 1,000 gallons of unleaded fuel for a not to exceed amount of $159,867. And do we have a second?
I will second it, and I will caution the chair not to get on the record to make too many motions personally. With my history of chairing meetings, it's better to have a board member step up.
All right. I know who's making the next motion.
It looks like you're running this whole organization, which you are.
Fair enough. I thank you, John. I appreciate it. All right. I saw John and Bob second it, so let's go with that. Denise, you want to give a roll call?
Director Coverdale.
Sure.
Director Michelson.
Yes.
Vice President Feldman.
Yes.
Director Muller.
Yes.
President Reynolds.
Yes. All right. Thank you.
Mr. President,
yes,
can I make one more comment? And
yes, please.
Mary and James, I just want to really compliment you guys in finding someone else to pay for our improvements here in the district. And I'd like to encourage you both to continue on that process. I'd really love to see outside money paying for all kinds of improvements in the district infrastructure. So great job, honestly, in all sincerity, great job. It's really wonderful to see.
Excellent. Thank you, Ken. Mary, where it is up with the approved salary schedule for a cost of living adjustment increase for until 22, effective in July. Go ahead, Mary.
Okay, so the district's MOU with the union calls for an annual cost of living increase to be effective July 1st. We look at the CPIW for urban wage earners and for the San Francisco, Oakland area from February to February. So the change for that time period was 1.8%. So we have put together a new salary schedule with that 1.8% COLA increase. We asked the board to approve it. CalPERS requires an approved salary schedule before it can be implemented. So we're asking the board to approve this. So we will have the increase effective the beginning of July.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. President, I'd like to move that we approve this schedule.
Excellent. Thank you. I appreciate that. Do we have a second, please?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Bob. All right, we have a first and a second. Denise, could you give us a roll call, please?
Director Muller,
Yes, and this does not include board members. We got a light.
Director Coverdale,
Yes.
Director Michelson,
Chris, that's you. You're muted.
Hey, Chris?
I thought I unmuted. Yes.
Vice President Feldman,
Yes.
President Reynolds.
Yes. All right. Excellent. Thank you. James, we're back to you for the.
We have one more.
Sorry.
We have
Did
one
I
more
get out
item.
of? I was busy flipping through my binder, and I apologize. Oh, right. The California Special Districts Association Board Election Bay Area Network Seat A.
Yeah.
Mary, that's you.
Yes, so this is for the term for 2022 to 2024. There are 3 candidates, and we would like the board to select a candidate, and we will send in the ballot. So the 3 candidates are the incumbent is Chad Davison, and he is the general manager of the Iron House Sanitary District. We have Rick Lohman, who is local to the Coastside, and we have this Cheryl Saduth, I assume that's her name, who is involved in, well, we have her biography, but she is involved in various associations and is the West County wastewater. She's with West County Wastewater, so.
All right. Director discussion, please. Chris, let's start with you. I think you've got your best finger on the pulse of the political world.
Well, I know who not to vote for, and that would be...
Careful. Public meeting. You don't need to slam anybody.
So, well, I think there are ways of... I think I could be politically sensitive. Let's just say one of the candidates has cost our ratepayers at one time, 6 figures in needless litigation. And so I would never reward someone who has taken money from our customers' pockets. So I'll stop there.
Thank you. Does anybody know Chad?
No, Mr. Chair.
Oh, go ahead, John.
Yeah, I think with the seriousness of what California is facing now, not only with the wastewater industry, but he does have experience and history in the freshwater industry too. And I think now more than ever, we need serious experience in California with this Special Districts Association. And I would support Chad Davison personally at this time.
Thank you, John. Bob, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bob, go ahead.
The way I look at this is as the Aqua rep, I attended the virtual board meeting, the virtual Region 5 meeting recently also. And I don't know Chad individually. I came upon his name there. But I saw the people on the Region 5 board and the process they used and the things they were into being very positive in my view. Essentially, they were a well-run region. The directors on that region are doing a good job. My view is to stay with the positive and to keep moving forward with what you know. So I think this fellow is asking to be reelected. He's an incumbent. And given what I've seen as far as how things are working, I think keeping him on there for another couple of years is probably the best thing for the region's future. And so I would go with Chad as well.
Excellent. Thank you, Bob. Ken?
At the risk of being contrary to the last two board members, we just went through a big lawsuit where we reorganized the district to try to get more representation across California population. And one thing that I was sort of interested in was this Cheryl person might be one of these people who's trying to get a foot in the door and broaden representation in our state. So I don't know her, and I don't really know Chad, who's the incumbent. But just in looking at that situation, I wondered when we give these opportunities to the people who aren't incumbents, who step up and bring a new perspective. So I don't feel strongly either way, and I could be persuaded by John and Bob because I think they're thoughtful and they know a lot about what we need in our district. But it just looked like one of those opportunities where we broaden representation in the state. So that's a comment, not a recommendation.
That's a good one, and I think it's well put, and I appreciate you putting it on the table. I tend to say that I think what we've heard is that I would lean towards Chad simply because he's been doing the job and doing well, and not in a slight to the other two candidates, but just that if somebody's doing the job well, I'm loath to move them out just for the sake of turnover. Sometimes I think consistency is good. Patrick, is it reasonable for us to just do a straw poll here, and can we just take a head count of who we're in favor for at this point?
Sure, you could do a straw poll before somebody makes a motion. That would be fine.
All right. I'd like to make a motion for picking Chad as the endorsing Chad. Ken, what would you like to do?
I think that's fine.
Okay. Bob, what would you like to do?
I support that.
Okay. John?
Yeah, I've always said, and Ken, Director Coverdale brought up a good point. I mean, the great government is to have candidates surface for offices, and at least these individuals all have stepped up to surface for an office. I give them credit for that. But I'm still very concerned about California's situation in 2021, probably in some of the most serious issues facing the water world. And I just am more comfortable with the experience Chad will bring for the next 2 years. And then hopefully other individuals will continue to have an interest in leadership in the district association.
Okay. And then Chris?
Yeah, I would support Chad in that we have a couple directors who do have personal knowledge of Chad's qualifications. So while I do understand sometimes new is good, sometimes going with a known can be better. So in this case, I think going with a known is better. So I would support Chad.
Okay, well, that's very helpful. Thank you. Could we now get a motion to designate a candidate for one of the representatives of the special district?
I'll move that.
Okay, thank you, Bob.
Nominate Chad Davison for CDA in the California Special District, Region 5.
And I will second it.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Thank you. Denise, if you could give us a roll call, please.
Director Coverdale,
Aye.
Director Michelson,
Yes, Chad.
Vice President Feldman,
Yes.
President Reynolds,
Yes.
Director Mueller.
Yes.
All right, excellent. Thank you. James, we turn to you to discuss the month's highlights, the successes, the famous moments.
Okay. Unfortunately, Denniston had to get shut down on the 11th of this past month for the season due to low precipitation. But my hat goes off to staff to squeeze out every last drop they could before we go through our seasonal shutdown. They did a great job there. Getting ready for emergencies, batteries and solar panels were installed at the Miramontes tank site. This is a site that we would lose communication to in the event of a power outage, and we would not be able to see the tank level or off. So that's another nice enhancement that Darren has made happen. Also, we obtained a 3-year access permit to the SFPUC watershed for using our brush mower. And I just want to also compliment the SFPUC staff on their cooperation and support in that project. They've had their staff biologist out, basically clearing the way before we went into the alignment of the old pipeline between Crystal Springs and Cahill. And it's been very helpful for them to help us in that manner. So we've got a good relationship there, and we're just going to keep things going on there. Fire break maintenance at Nunes, Alves, and Cahill are complete. We've done a lot of progress with that unit. And again, I just want to reassure you guys, it was pretty windy yesterday and today, and there was a fire over in the PUC watershed. So with humidity levels, Darren decided to just park the mower for a couple of days until it gets a little cooler and wetter and less windy. So I'm in support of his caution with that. Cathodic protection was installed at the Denniston tank. That's another nice achievement. Denniston water plant, like I mentioned, is down. We're doing our seasonal maintenance there. We have a new treatment plant operator, Chris Jones. He started on May 24th. He's doing very well. He's a nice trainer, and staff likes him very much, and hopefully he likes us too. Mike McDermott passed his T2 exam. The new testing is now in a computer-based testing due to COVID, and we're very proud of him. And I passed my recertification for my backflow testing exam, which is kind of a tough exam, so I'm proud of myself on that. Source is Crystal Springs, Denniston Reservoir and Wells. On our projects, PG&E contractor is out to Crystal Springs, Denniston, and Nunes to look at potential full or partial rebates to replace the fluorescent lighting with LEDs. So we're waiting for them to come out. They've been very active in the Bay Area, and they seem very competent. So more on that later. Denniston automatic transfer switches. We got the right switches into the plant and the pump station. It's been a long process. Really hard at rectifying the situation. Once Andrini tops off both generators, we are complete with that project. So appreciate everyone's patience. There were some serious sourcing issues with cabinets through Cummins, but they made us whole. And I also want to compliment them that they are covering all out-of-pocket costs related to the electricians having to pull cabinets and replace them. So they're going to cover that completely.
Excellent.
Crossing replacement that's complete. Did you have a question?
No, sorry, you cut out for a second.
The biological resources evaluation from WRA has been revised to incorporate some specific comments from the city. I believe we just received their revised draft today, and we will report next month on that. And Grandview Highway 1 crossing design is just recently achieved 75%, and staff will be looking at that. And HDR Half Moon Bay Tank 3 replacement project, we have evaluated different sizes, D110 versus 115 tanks, and determined we're very close. We pretty much decided on the size and the type of the tank, and it's looking like we can get a 2.3 million gallon tank in the site of Half Moon Bay Tank 3 without impacting the Verizon infrastructure. So that's some pretty good progress. Those are big decisions and can hold up the design. So we're progressing there as well. Got a lot done this month. I'm very proud of the staff.
Great, well done.
Question,
and I'm here to say that backflow tester recert is a brutal exam. I also have to take it every 3 years, and it's really hard. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, congratulations to both of you for that. Just a brief comment. I believe the burn today in the watershed was a controlled burn, number one. Number two, James, we unfortunately are doing a lot of trips over the hill, whatever, for medical or whatever. Been a lot of cars at the gate on the east side, south side of 92 at the bottom by the lakes. Is that part of our function, or is that part of SFPUC's function? Seems like we had our vehicles there too, last day or two.
Yeah, we do have a gate to the Crystal Springs pump station that's just west of the bridge.
Yes.
And due to the safety concerns of turning around, we actually, when we leave, we take a right and we go all the way down to the light and turn around there where it's safe. Because taking a left at that first light and trying to turn around there is, John Davis and I had a scary situation. So we've changed the route of turning around. So yeah, that silver gate is where we stop and wait for people and let them in and open the gate.
So there's been a lot of Coastside County water businesses going on in that area there the last few days.
I don't know if particularly in the last few days. I'm not sure which day you're referring to.
Yesterday.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe the guys were out there. We're out there every day, but I couldn't tell you exactly why we're there at the time.
Well, I want you to know we're watching out for all of our staff. Thank you.
We know that. Thank you. We appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, James, and thank the team. And I pass on my congratulations for the T2 exam. That's good news. Do we have any director agenda items or requests for future board meetings other than next month? All right. At that point, then we'll conclude the meeting and adjourn.
Great job, staff. Great job.
Yep. Thanks, everybody. Much appreciated. Take care.
I think we should have a meeting in the district offices next month.
I second it.